This video will show how to find the one variable statistics or the measures of central tendency for a frequency distribution using the Casio fx-CG50. The example says 65 randomly selected car salespersons were asked the number of cars they generally sell in 1 week. 14 people answered that they generally sell 3 cars, 19 generally sell 4 cars, 12 generally sell 5 cars, 9 generally sell 6 cars, and 11 generally sell 7 cars. We want to calculate the mean, median, and mode for the sample, or the measures of central tendency. The first thing that we need to discuss is the variable. In this case, the variable that we want to study is number of cars sold. Now you'll notice that there are 2 different types of numbers in the question. One of which is the number of salespeople, and the other number is the number of cars they sold in the previous week. So the variable that we actually want to study is number of cars sold. So that will be our x variable, number of cars sold. And along with the x variable will be the frequency of times that number occurs. So if we walk up to any randomly selected salesperson and we ask them, how many cars did you sell last week? They'll tell us the number of cars, and the frequency represents how many people told us those number of cars. So within the first sentence, it says 14 people answered that they generally sell 3 cars. So the variable is number of cars, and the frequency is how many people. So we'll just make this table based off of this. The next part of the sentence says that 19 people generally sell 4 cars, so 4 cars were sold by 19 people. 5 cars were sold by 12 people. 6 cars were sold by 9 people, and 7 cars were sold by 11 people. So now we have our variable, number of cars sold, along with the frequency. There's a few different ways that we could calculate this, one of which is to do this by hand. We could take the x values and multiply them by their frequencies, in this case making 3 times 14, 4 times 19, 5 times 12, and so on, and finding the total number of cars sold for all of the car salespersons, and dividing it by the number of people in the sample, in this case 65. We could find the sample mean that way. Also, we could just list out the number of cars sold. In this case, it would be 3 14 times, and then 4 19 times, and so on. Again, just using the variable, number of cars sold, and how many times they occurred. We would just list this all out. That's going to take us a long time to do that, but we could find the median by finding the middle value that way. Or we can use the graphing calculator to calculate this. So if you are using the Casio calculator, we'll press the menu button to pull up this screen. We want to go to menu and then click on number 2 for statistics, and we will have our lists. Now I have data in here from a prior example, so we're going to use the F6 button to bring up the delete option. We're going to delete the list by pressing F1. We'll also delete all of the values in L2 the same way. F4, delete all. F1, yes. And from here, we're going to enter our variable, again, the number of cars sold, into L1, the first list. And we will enter the frequency into L2, or list 2. I'd suggest pausing the video so you can catch up and do the same thing I just did. From here, we can use the right arrow, or F6, to go back to the main screen, which shows calc. We want to calculate the 1 var stats. 1 var stats because we only have one variable. We only asked these salespeople how many cars did they sell last week. The second list, the second set of values, is just the frequency. Now from here, we need to tell the calculator to use the second list. So we need to press F6 to set our frequency list to L2. Now, there are two different options when you go to the frequency, one variable frequency value. There is either the number 1, which is the way it's set from the factory if you haven't used it before, or we could tell it which list is the frequency list. Now, we put our frequency values into list 2, so we're going to tell the calculator to use list 2. From here, we will hit the exit button once, and now we will click F1 to find the mean, median, and mode. Let me just slide all this down so we can fit this. The mean, X bar, again, this is a sample, randomly selected car salespeople, so know that this is the sample mean. X bar is 4.75. We can use the down arrow to find the median. In this case, the median is 4. Again, the median is the middle value. And if we keep scrolling down, we'll see that the mode is even 4. Now again, the variable is number of cars sold. So if we're trying to calculate the mean, median, and mode for this example, we're trying to find the number of cars sold. In this case, the mode is the value that has the highest frequency, which is 4.